If you're an XRP holder, do not miss this video. Oh my goodness.
Banks were invented around Bretton Woods, which was post World War II. Europe and Asia was a unique time in America, and it led to incredible prosperity across the world. So why can't we do that again? And why can't we focus on growth? What are the tools? What is hindering growth of these economies?
So why can't we do another Bretton Woods? And what are the tools that would help with the economy? What would help to grow the economy? What are the tools? XRP, baby. He's talking about XRP as a new Bretton Woods. You cannot even imagine the video I have for you today, my friend. Oh my goodness.
In the final months of World War II, Western leaders convened the greatest economic minds of their generation. Their task to build a new financial system. At a quiet resort high up in the mountains of New Hampshire, they laid the foundation for Pax Americana. The architects of Bretton Woods recognized that a global economy required global coordination. To encourage that coordination, they created the IMF and the World Bank. These twin institutions were born after a period of intense geopolitical and economic volatility. The purpose of the IMF and the World Bank was to better align national interests with international order, thereby bringing stability to an unstable. In short, their purpose was to restore and preserve balance. This remains the purpose of the Bretton Woods institutions. Yet everywhere we look across the international system today, we see imbalance. The good news, it doesn't have to be this way. My goal this morning is to outline a blueprint to restore equilibrium to the global financial system and the institutions designed to uphold it. I've spent the bulk of my career from the outside looking in on financial policy circles. Now I am on the inside looking out. I am eager to work with each of you to restore order to the international system. To achieve this, however, we must first reconstruct the IMF and World Bank reconnect the IMF and the World Bank with their founding missions. The IMF and World Bank have enduring value, but mission creep has knocked these institutions off course. They must enact key reforms to ensure the Bretton Woods institutions are serving their stakeholders, not the other way around. Bringing balance back to global finance will require clear-eyed leadership from the IMF and World Bank. This morning, I will explain how they can provide that leadership to build safer, stronger, and more prosperous economies all around the world. I wish to invite my international counterparts to join us in working toward these goals. On this point, I wish to be clear. America first does not mean America alone. To the contrary, it is a call for deeper collaboration and mutual respect among trade partners. Far from stepping back, America First seeks to expand U.S. leadership and international institutions like the IMF and the World Bank. By embracing a stronger leadership role, America First seeks to restore fairness to the international economic system. Nowhere is the imbalance I mentioned earlier more obvious.
He's talking about trade deficits. The US has to run trade deficits, and other countries are literally forced to hold US dollar for their global trade. It's just a big mess. So he's referring to the Triffin's dilemma here for the most part. Okay. And he's saying that we need to rebalance that. We need to fix it. So I'm going to continue here, and then I'm going to show you some crazy, crazy stuff. Okay. You're going to really be blown away here.
That's why the United States is taking action now to rebalance global commerce. For decades, successive administrations relied on faulty assumptions that our trading partners would implement policies that would drive a balanced global economy. Instead, we face the stark reality of large and persistent U.S. deficits as a result of an unfair trading system. Intentional policy choices by other
Listen to this again, right here.
Faulty assumptions that our trading partners would implement policies that would drive a balanced global economy.
Right here.
Instead, we face the stark reality of large and persistent U.S. deficits as a result of an unfair trading system.
U.S. deficits because of an unfair trading system. So that's what he's talking about. He's talking about the Triffin's dilemma. The U.S. has to consistently run trade deficits. It has to create more and more and more U.S. dollar, run trade deficits to supply the world with liquidity. And this causes major, major imbalances. And other countries don't want to hold U.S. dollar long term because the US is running trade deficits. So the Triffin's dilemma says that basically a national currency cannot serve as a global reserve currency for the world for global trade. You have to have a neutral bridge currency like the Bancor that was proposed in 1945, the Bretton Woods, but they didn't go with that. They went with the US dollar instead. So they tried to do the Bancor in 1968, which technically they called the SDR, Special Drawing Rights of the IMF, but they only gave it to central banks, so it failed. So that's why they're redoing it now, but this time they gave it to everyone because it's the only way that you can get use cases and liquidity so that it can serve as a global reserve currency. So they're doing it through Ripple right now as private company as a front. They're redoing the Special Drawing Rights of the IMF, redoing the Bancor, technically, of the 1945 vision, and they're going to fix this Triffin's dilemma that he's talking about. Now you have to understand that the IMF, approximately 22%, I believe, it's approximately 22% of the IMF is owned by the US. The IMF is owned by literally every country in the world for the most part, and literally their shares are measured in quotas, which are measured in SDRs. So let's continue listening a few minutes here.
Intentional policy choices by other countries have hollowed out America's manufacturing sector and undermined our critical supply chains, putting our national security at risk. President Trump has taken strong actions to address these imbalances and the negative impacts they have on Americans. The status quo of large and persistent imbalances is not sustainable. It is not sustainable for the United States, and ultimately, it is not sustainable for other economies.
See, right there, that's what he said. He says persistent trade deficits is not sustainable. So what he's indirectly saying here, okay, is saying we cannot continue to serve, the US dollar cannot continue to serve as a global reserve currency. We need a neutral currency. We need a currency that is not tied to any nation. So it's a non-sovereign currency. Again, we need a currency that's not tied to a sovereign nation. It cannot be a national currency that serves as a global reserve currency. That's what he's saying here. The US dollar will not continue this way. It's not good for us, and it's not good for the rest of the world. Because if the US slows down on their trade deficits to try to fix their situation, then it creates a global liquidity crisis, and the whole economy collapses because everything seizes up. So that's why he's saying it's not good for them, it's not good for others. We need a neutral bridge currency. This is what he's talking about here. Okay, so when he's saying that technically we got to stop, we can't continue doing this, he's saying we need XRP. Indirectly, that's what he's saying. We need XRP. So this is not a joke, my friend.
That imbalances is not sustainable. It is not sustainable for the United States, and ultimately, it is not sustainable for other economies. Now, I know sustainability is a popular term around here, but I'm not talking about climate change or carbon footprints. I'm talking about economic and financial stability, the kind of sustainability that raises standards of living and keeps markets afloat. International financial institutions must be singularly focused on upholding this kind of sustainability they are to succeed in their missions. In response to President Trump's tariff announcements, more than 100 countries have to help rebalance global trade.
All right, I'm like halfway in the video, but I forgot to give the disclaimer. So if this is not financial advice, non-financial advisors, for entertainment purposes only, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thank you so much for all the love that you guys show me in the comments. It's too nice. Thank you. I love you guys too. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Now, my friend, oh my goodness. All right, listen to this very carefully. I asked the AI to explain it because I'm a Frenchie and I want the AI to explain it better than I would, right? Explain how, if the world used XRP as a new global reserve currency, how would this essentially be a new Bretton Woods? Because this is what he's talking about, okay? This is what Bessent was talking about. So explain how this would be a new Bretton Woods if XRP was used, and explain how XRP would help the growth of economies and how the US doesn't need to run trade deficits if XRP is adopted globally. Give a short answer. Right here, under the current system, the world needs a continuous supply of dollars for reserves, trade invoicing, and liquidity, which is the Triffin's dilemma. The US supplies those dollars largely by running trade deficits. If XRP becomes a primary neutral bridge settlement asset, countries no longer need to accumulate large USD reserves or hold dollars specifically for international payments. Liquidity is provided by the bridge asset itself rather than by one nation's currency. The structural demand for perpetual US deficits disappears. With XRP, the structural demand for perpetual continuous US deficits disappears. The US could then run more balanced trade without undermining the global payment system. To really understand this clearly and to go really much deeper, go to apexcryptocommunity.com and watch these deep dives here. You can get a 14-day free trial. It doesn't even cost you a penny to watch these, okay? You want to watch these deep dives here where I crack the code. It's called I Cracked the Code, Ripple's Big Secret Exposed. You can just watch the first 3, but if you want to watch all 6, it would be really better. Watch this deep dive right here, XRP Secret Revealed, and scroll down here and watch this one here, Digital Bretton Woods 3. You can't even imagine, okay? So I really encourage you to watch these 2 deep dives. Again, you can watch it for free. You can get a 14-day free trial. And then it's only $9.99 for the core membership. Get the premium, it's a bit more, but you can try it out for 14 days, okay? It's all organized. All my content is organized perfectly there. If you want to see all the proof too that Swift is definitely using XRP, okay, you watch these deep dives right here. Swift, 10,000 banks, XRP ledger. If you want to see the DTCC is going to use XRP for global settlement, cross-border liquidity, and XLM, you watch these deep dives here. 4 deep dives of the DTCC, okay? $12 to $14 trillion is processed per day with the DTCC. And you can watch all the deep dives as well here, the central banks, BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, all my deep dives, Project Agora, Project Enbridge, Project Jora. There's 15 deep dives there, all showing it's the XRP ledger. I'll leave the link in the description and in the pinned comments. The price will go up. Right now, it's a crazy, ridiculous price. It's only $9.99 for the core and $49 for the premium. If you get the premium, you can join us every Tuesday night. We do a community video call and you can ask me questions. We sometimes go like 3 hours. We've gone even 4 hours on these calls. I get really burnt out though when we go 4 hours. But so yeah, if you get a premium, you could join us every Tuesday. Now back to the AI here. XRP as a global reserve bridge currency would function like a modern digital Bretton Woods, but without the structural flaws of the USD-centric system. The original Bretton Woods 1944 created a rules-based international monetary order with fixed exchange rates anchored to the USD, itself tied to gold at the time. It aimed for stable, efficient global trade and payments. A widespread XRP adoption scenario would recreate that stability digitally. XRP and the XRP ledger acts as a neutral, hybrid, high-speed, low-cost bridge and settlement layer between any currencies or CBDCs. Instant atomic settlement replaces slow corresponding banking and pre-funded nostro-vostro accounts. It provides a common liquidity rail without requiring one country's currency to serve as the primary reserve asset. So it removes the Triffin's dilemma. It removes the need for the US to run consistent trade deficits. This is how XRP fixes the global liquidity crisis, the global debt crisis, and the global Triffin's dilemma that they've been trying to fix now for over 40 years. This is why when you see the Rising Phoenix article in 1988, the Rising Phoenix, everybody talks about the Rising Phoenix, but nobody ever talks about the article. The article talked about how they had new technologies that would help with global trade, liquidity, and FX. The year after this, David Schwartz gets the patent. In 1989, he gets the distributed computer system patent. You can literally, I was going to say you can Google it, but I'll Google it for you right here. See, this is the patent that David Schwartz got the year after the Rising Phoenix article came out. The Economist magazine. Right here, a multi-level distributed computer system for distributed processing preferably includes a plurality of personal computers. David Schwartz, he gets the patent in 1989. Now, about 6 years later, he was working for a very powerful 3-letter agency at the world that starts with an N. It's a U.S. intelligence agency. It starts with an N, okay? It's N, S, and another word, another letter, okay? So he was working for them at the time. 6 years later, the same intelligence agency writes a paper on cryptography, how to create a mint. Okay, it's literally a paper on cryptography and crypto in 1996. Then, about 5 years later, the same agency, the 3-letter agency, creates SHA-256, SHA-256, which is the underlying infrastructure for Bitcoin. Everything about Bitcoin is based on SHA-256. That's in 2001, I believe. Then we get the BS Nakamoto story in 2009. They tell us that there's this new white paper. It's Nakamoto. We don't know who this guy who wrote this white paper. He's invented Bitcoin. It's all about freedom. It's to help the people get away from the banking system, for the people to get away from big government so that we can transact peer-to-peer, one-to-one, so we don't need to basically be controlled by the banks. That's the story of the Bitcoin white paper 2009. It's a complete BS story. It's not true that it's this Nakamoto guy that we don't know who he is. It's actually 3-letter agency from the US government that created Bitcoin. And the reason they gave us that story, and I'm probably risking my life to tell you this, the reason they gave us the Bitcoin story, unfortunately, is because they wanted us to embrace the idea of going digital. They wanted the society, the people, to embrace the idea, or at least not resist it, putting everything on the blockchain, going digitizing the world, because once you're on the blockchain, they can see everything that we're doing. Okay, so anyways, they were trying to fix the Triffin's dilemma in the 1980s, and this is why you see the Rising Phoenix article, Economist magazine, and then the technology, they developed this technology. If you're in the Apex community, go here, the Bitcoin lie exposed. Watch this right here, my friend. You cannot even imagine. Watch this one here, and then also, like I said, this one here will explain everything in detail. I show the article, explains everything. I cracked the XRP code, ripples. You have to watch this. You have to watch this. A few of these you can find on my website, okay? But these here, they're all in perfect order here, because it's better to watch them in a specific order. You can't even imagine. I'm telling you, if you watch this, you'll be, and this one too. Watch this one, my friend. So back right here, it provides, XRP provides a common liquidity rail without requiring one country's currency to serve as the primary reserve asset. How it supports economic growth. It frees trillions in trapped capital currently sitting idle in nostro-vostro accounts. Now remember, at the beginning, Bessent, he talked about how, what are the tools to grow the economy? What are the tools that we can use? He was saying we need to do a new Bretton Woods. Like he said, the first Bretton Woods was good. Why can't we do it again? Okay. And so he's talking about, like, what are the tools that will help to grow the economy? So right here, okay, so XRP is that tool that he's talking about. So again, keep in mind that Ripple is a private company from the US, and keep in mind that the same three-letter agency that's behind Ripple, okay, David Schwartz worked with Ripple, David Schwartz worked for a three-letter agency at the time when he got the distributed computer system patent, and it's the same three-letter agency that created literally all the technology that Bitcoin relies on, and then David Schwartz goes to work with Ripple. A long story, but anyway, so right here, it frees trillions in trapped capital currently sitting idle in nostro-vostro accounts. It dramatically lowers cross-border payments costs and settlement times. It increases money velocity and enables real-time liquidity on demand. It makes international trade, remittances, and investments cheaper and more accessible, especially for emerging markets. The results: XRP gives a more efficient capital allocation, higher trade volumes, and faster economic growth globally. Let's listen again to what Bessent said here, because this is absolutely crucial. This is a nail in the coffin right here. This is the frost on the cake.
Banks were invented around Bretton Woods, which was post World War II. Europe was, and Asia was a unique time in America, and it led to incredible prosperity across the world. So why can't we do that again? And why can't we focus on growth? What are the tools? What is hindering growth? Do that again. Can't we do that again? And why can't we focus on growth? What are the tools? What is hindering growth? The tools. What is hindering growth of these? Do that again. And why can't we focus on growth? What are the tools? What is hindering growth of these economies? Focus on growth. What are the tools? What is hindering growth of these?
And what's hindering the growth is that they need liquidity. To do global trade, you need liquidity. They need US dollar. But if the US supplies those US dollars to them, okay, the US has to run trade deficits to do it. And it's not good, because the countries, like I said, they do not want to hold US dollars if the US is consistently running trade deficits to supply them. It basically, there's no confidence in the US dollar. So why would they want to hold billions and billions of US dollars, if not trillions, if that country is literally running trade deficits and the US dollar is failing? So this is what he's saying. This is the problem. The tool is XRP, my friend. All right, my friend. So that's going to be it for this one. Thank you so much for all the love. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. All right. And again, thank you so much for all the love. Wishing you a great day, great evening, great night, wherever you are. And don't forget to check out the crypto community, 14-day free trial, and just go through all of those videos as soon as you humanly can. Thank you. Wishing you a great day, great night, great evening, wherever you are. And God bless you all so much. Thank you.